Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Deep Cuts Reactions and my name's Greg, and I've been listening to Australian bush ballads and stuff like that where it's old poetry for the most part that has been set to music. It's from back in the 1800s, and it's a lot of their history there. And in my mind I equate what happened in Australia with what happened here in the U.S., and the different musical influences and all this sort of stuff, and it, there's a really funny scene in The Blues Brothers, if you've ever seen that movie, where they go into this bar and the gal's saying, yeah, we play both kinds of music, country and Western, which, for a lot of folks' point of view isn't that the same? But it's not. It's not. There was this whole genre of cowboy music, Marty Robbins, and there were several, Roy Rogers for that matter, that sang these ballads, but they were very, very different than country music, out on the range kind of stuff that you create. So anyway, what's cool is there's this big competition that occurs, I think, in like Elko, Nevada, where all these cowboy poets get up there and compete, and tell poems that they've written, and they're all very cool. This one is from one of the greats of that genre, and this is Red Steagall, and hopefully I won't get blocked on this, but it's to an old friend. It's a cowboy poem.
I'm going to do a poem that I wrote in 1990, and I kind of took it not from a real life experience, but from experiences that we all have had if we've ridden that river and know how tough that old quicksand is, and how we learn at an early age how to get out of it and let our horse have his head. It's called To an Old Friend. I stood by the fountain as they brought him out, a lost, lonely look on his face. I ain't never seen him in nothing but boots, and the wheelchair sure seemed out of place. It took him a while to recall who I am. Then confusion broke into a grin. It was though we were saddled up, ready to ride the hackberry pasture again. He laughed as he said, I remember the time that yeller bronc swallered his head and pitched you so high that you turned over twice. Me and Benny Bob swore you was dead. He looked up at me and said, how is old Ben? I lied and said, he's doing fine. No need to remind him his brother was gone. Ben died back in '79. For most of an hour, we rode at a trot. We branded and shaped up the steers, drank gallons of coffee, ate sourdough bread, and cowboyed for 51 years. I thought he was an old man when I was a kid. At a time when I needed a friend, he took me to raise, taught me all that I know about horses and cattle and men. See, my daddy had died and I needed a job. I was big for a kid of 15, so they put me to work on the 4-6's ranch. I was dumb as a gourd and as green. We was looking for strays in the Wichita breaks. It was me and John Gaither and him. I'd lost sight of John. I was looking around kind of daydreaming there on the rim and rode up on some cattle hid out in the brush. A 2-year-old steer come by me, throwed a 9 in his tail, and cut a new trail right out through them salt cedar trees. I lit out behind him a-giving her hell. This colt I was riding was green. I thought to myself, he ain't getting away. This roan is a running machine. We was going full bore when we got to the bank. Stream wasn't wide as my hat. I almost pulled up, then I thought, the hell, I've jumped rivers wider than that. Well, I bogged that old pony plumb up to his gut. He was wallering and thrashing around, going down deeper with each desperate lunge, and me praying he'd find solid ground. And just at the moment that I heard his voice, a rope appeared right by the roan. Get out of that cack and hang on to my line. The colt will get out on his own. I've crossed that old river many a time, found me a bog once or twice, but I still remember a 30-foot rope and a good cowboy piece of advice. When you ride the river, son, make sure your horse is gentle and seasoned as well, 'cause only the good uns will get you across. That quicksand goes clean down to hell. I got up to leave and he reached for my hand. He said, son, I'm sure glad you dropped by. If you see old Ben, have him saddle my horse. I hate sitting waiting to die. His voice started cracking. He swallowed and said, I'm nearing the end of my ride. But if I cross the river before you get there, I'll leave a good horse on this side.
Wow. That was great. I'm just sitting here like a little kid with in rapt attention as somebody tells me a bedtime story. That was just beautiful and heartrending and yeah, it's something, when you're old, yeah, you can relate to a lot of that stuff. You've maybe not been through the cowboying, but you've been through your style of it, you might say, been through this life. Man, that was really great. And that little violin accent didn't hurt either, but what a storyteller, man. What a storyteller. And there's an example of a genre that, a lot of people never latch a hold of, but it's worth checking out. So anyway, hope y'all like that, and I will be back and probably play something else weird as shit. And so hit like, subscribe, and all that, and we'll see y'all then. Bye bye.